To outsiders, Robert Brooks looked like a family man with a love for golf and fancy holidays. The 50-year-old from Hertford had a thriving business, a clean criminal record, and was also a part-time driving instructor. But behind the scenes, Brooks was the kingpin of a £58 million drug trafficking gang that supplied an estimated 1.8 tons of Class A drugs to dealers up and down the country over nearly 10 months. His crimes came to light after 45 kilograms of heroin, hidden in spider catchers on a lorry from Holland, were intercepted by Border Force officials. Despite police arresting 2 of his associates and finding 17 more kilograms of cocaine, which was being delivered to Brooks's business, he was still living the high life as police lacked evidence to prove he was involved. The amount of drugs imported into the country made it the biggest ever drug conspiracy in Hertfordshire and the biggest ever investigation in the history of the region. However, Brooks made one small but fatal error that left even the police speechless. This is how the police solved the case that shocked the county of Hertfordshire. You are watching OCG TV. Chapter 1. The Spider Catchers. On the 20th of August 2019, Border Patrol officers stopped a lorry crossing from Calais into Dover. The route between Calais and Dover is hugely significant for the UK, both in practical terms, as a major route in and out of Britain for people and goods, and symbolically as both a gateway to Britain and a barrier that protects it from smuggling illegal contraband. The vehicle had been loaded in Holland, and the driver confirmed he hadn't witnessed loading. Nothing was particularly unusual about this, but the UK Border Patrol had already received intelligence that this lorry may be of some interest. Upon unloading and inspection of the cargo, one of the consignments was found to contain 45 kilograms of heroin hidden in pallets of spider catchers. Police realised that this was an attempt to transport over £1 million worth of Class A drugs and that they were onto catching a big fish. Inquiries were made, and documents showed that 39 separate deliveries of the same weight and dimensions had previously been made to a rented unit at Little Samuel's Farm in Hunson, East Hertfordshire. Police knew that this was a major break, and they had 24 hours to come up with a plan to outsmart the criminals by allowing them to think everything was normal. So they decided to send the drugs to their intended destination. The plan was high risk, and pressure was building on the detectives, who decided to plant cameras and microphones all over the van so they could catch the criminals red-handed. The case was covered on popular Channel 4's series 24 Hours in Police Custody, where viewers were on the edge of their seats as the consignment, complete with a mic and surveillance camera inside the box of drugs, was delivered to a business called Happy Day Campers, located within the farm site. The box is opened by a man in his early 30s who can be heard discussing how there would likely be brown, referring to the packages of heroin, located inside. Police are watching and listening, waiting for the right moment to strike. The camera is then picked up and removed from the box, and the audio goes quiet. Police move in, ending the 2 men's lives as they know it, as they are caught red-handed. They are identified as Richard Campbell and Thomas Wozniak, 49 and 28 years old respectively, both from the Milton Keynes area. Chapter 2. Jaguar Palace. During the raid, only Campbell and Wozniak were inside the building. Luckily for officers, when searching Campbell, they found an EncroChat encrypted phone which can cost up to £15,000 and is widely used by serious organised criminals. Campbell's phone was unlocked, and evidence of just how big the conspiracy was and who else was involved was there for all to see. Campbell was talking to someone using the codename Jaguar Palace. It was clear the person working under the code name was the leader of the group, and police had suspicions the person was in Spain. A username Jaguar Palace was messaging Campbell at the time of the shipment delivery, instructing him to keep on his toes and to look out for 4 boxes, referring to how many blocks of heroin would be inside. The chat also showed how Jaguar Palace was charging different criminal organisations between £15,000 and £20,000 per importation. Detectives had immediately checked company's house once it was confirmed the consignment was destined for happy campers. The owner was listed as 50-year-old part-time driving instructor Robert Brooks. He was confirmed to be the boss of the company when investigators went to the home of Richard Campbell, where his shocked and unassuming wife explained that Brooks was the long-term boss of her husband. They took a dive into Brooks's life but didn't arrest him or approach him for months after the initial drug bust. It was clear that Brooks loved the high life and had a villa in Alicante, Spain. He went there every month on holiday, either with his family or by himself. Police trawled through his Facebook page and discovered that he had also enjoyed holidays to America and Dubai. However, this was a red flag for officers, as he was the listed owner of Happy Day Campers, which police determined as a dying business that made no money. It was clear that the business was a front for the drug conspiracy, but the police needed more. Putting Brooks behind bars was the next piece of the puzzle, but they had to do it right, and despite every little piece of evidence they had on him, it wasn't concrete enough. However, it was his own careless mistake that would ultimately be his own downfall. Chapter 3. A Fatal Error. Within the industrial unit of Happy Campers, the front company owned by Robert Brooks, a red Ford Fiesta car was parked inside. Police seized this vehicle and discovered that he set up a dash cam that recorded whenever there was movement detected within close proximity of the car. This was no surprise considering Brooks was a driving instructor and therefore used his vehicle to earn a living. To the officers' surprise, footage had been recorded over August 14th and 15th, 2019. And when they cross-checked the dates of previous deliveries to the address from the same courier company, it matched a drug delivery date. The footage put Brooks right there on the day of the delivery and also showed the fourth member of the gang who, up to that point, was unknown to the police. That person was Stephen Capp, a 56-year-old ex-lorry driver from Hull whose role was to courier drugs from the farm to the north of England. It was clear from the video that nefarious activities were going on, as a brand new Audi sports car backed up into the unit, and once inside, the shutters were immediately pulled down. It looked highly suspicious and completely out of any activities that may be conducted by a camper van rental company, or indeed someone taking driving lessons. However, suspicion is not enough when investigating a crime of this magnitude. Police needed something more substantial. They watched Capp come and go from the farm, delivering to customers in the north and south of England. Detectives were gathering a treasure trove of evidence, but the best was yet to come. Shortly after a visit to the farm, officers surrounded his car on the busy M25 motorway and, in dramatic scenes, smashed through the passenger's window in a forced stop. A shell-shocked Capp knew the game was up as a total of 5-kilogram blocks of cocaine was seized from a hidden compartment in the back. Visibly upset, Capp kept saying, "I've messed up," after his arrest. Pressure was now seriously mounting on Brooks. He was aware of the raid on Little Samuel's farm, and he was bound to now have heard about the stop and search on his main courier. It was clear that he had not considered the recording mechanism in his car, as he sprung a surprise when he turned up at a local police station for questioning, uninvited. Clearly, the paranoia and impatience in knowing what evidence the police had was getting the better of him. After all, the police had intercepted a £1 million consignment of drugs addressed to his business premises only weeks earlier. He then comes to the station prepared with a pre-written statement, where he claims to only store and maintain his vehicles at Little Samuel's farm, denying all knowledge of the drugs. He insists he only knows Campbell on an off-and-on basis as an acquaintance, and that Thomas Wozniak is Campbell's gardener. Police release Brooks to keep tabs on him from afar. They keep surveillance on him round the clock, watching him play golf and shop for a new mobile phone. He did not work a normal job in that time and paid everything in cash. Eventually, detectives pulled together enough evidence, and the day of reckoning for Robert Brooks arrived. One can only imagine the feeling of getting that knock on the door and knowing that your life is going to be very different for the next 20 years. The evidence was there to put him and his small crew away for a very long time. Chapter 4. The True Cost. Gang leader Robert Brooks lived a life of luxury, travelling all over the world and enjoying time with his family at a villa in Spain. When anyone decides to take the step from normal civilian life and into a life of crime, they're putting their future on the line for short-term benefit. It is rare for someone to win at the game of crime. One must stop while they are ahead and take the winnings, but it is not always as simple as that once you've crossed that line. Brooks did not take his winnings. He proceeded to partake in 37 separate smuggling runs and ended up paying the ultimate price. He made a heartbreaking call to his son from the police station. "Hello, little man. Happy birthday. It should be a law that you should get your birthday off. It is ridiculous, isn't it?" When questioned on why he wasn't at home celebrating with him, he said, "I'm at work and my phone's in my locker, so I've just used somebody else's and used the office phone." Emotionally, Brooks then ends the call by saying, "All right, listen, I want you to have a lovely day and I love you to the moon and back. All right, mate, speak to you later. Love you." When the case came to court, it was heard that Richard Campbell was the warehouse manager. He admitted conspiracy to evade the prohibition of Class A drugs and was sentenced to 13.5 years in prison. He was quoted at the time of sentencing that nothing was worth the pain he had inflicted upon his family. Cap was a loner who did not have much family. In one scene, while speaking on the phone at the police station to a loved one, he pleads, "Don't stop loving me," and breaks down in tears. It is difficult not to feel sympathy for Cap in this moment, but also a reminder of how getting involved in serious organised crime can ruin lives in an instant. He pleaded guilty to possession of Class A drugs with intent to supply and was jailed for 9 years and 6 months. Thomas Wozniak played a lesser role in the conspiracy. He worked as an operative within the warehouse. In court, he portrayed himself as a vulnerable person who came to the UK and was befriended by Campbell. However, he knew what he was involved in, as after each delivery, he or Campbell would throw the spider catchers in the skip outside the warehouse after getting the drugs out of the packaging. He was born in Poland and had been in the UK for around 10 years prior to his arrest. He was 28 when he admitted conspiracy to supply a controlled drug of Class A and was sentenced to 6 years and 3 months imprisonment. It was not only the British end of the process that got caught. Peter Manison, 50, from Amsterdam, was arrested by Dutch authorities following the seizure of cocaine in Holland. He has since been sentenced to 6 years imprisonment in Holland, a somewhat lighter sentence compared to what Brooks received. He was sentenced to 21 years in prison. The British simply do not mess about when it comes to sentence time for drug smuggling. You have been watching OCG TV. What do you think of the sentences given to each member of the gang? And what do you think about the disparity between the sentence given to Brooks, who was the leader on the UK side, and Manison on the Dutch side? We would be intrigued to know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Till next time, goodbye.